Ready. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. This is a graduate student success seminar and it's with our guest, Kavita Krishnaswamy. And we are very pleased to have Kavita. She is a graduate student, a doctoral student in computer science at UMBC, the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. I'm Renetta Tull. I'm the graduate school's Associate Vice Provost for Graduate School Student Development and Postdoctoral Affairs. And I've had the pleasure of knowing Kavita for many years since she started as a graduate student. She was an undergraduate student in the Meyerhoff program, the Scholars Program at UMBC, and a graduate student in the Lewis Stokes Alliance for Minority Participation Bridge to the Doctorate Fellowship that's sponsored by NSF. And the National Science Foundation recently did a story on Kavita talking about balance and life and research. And so we're very happy to be with Kavita, and her mom is also here joining us. And we have an audience of LSM Bridge to the Doctorate Fellows and others from UMBC who are in the audience joining us. And so let's welcome Kavita.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Dr. Tull, for that great introduction. I really appreciate it, and I'm very thankful to all of you for joining. It's really wonderful to share the space with all of you and to finally meet all of you. So it's great, and I'm looking forward to sharing some of my experiences and finding ways so I can help all of you succeed in grad school. And that's what this seminar will be about, and I hope I can offer suggestions.
Excellent. Thank you, Kavita. And so one of the wonderful things that we have in the graduate school at UMBC is an opportunity for our senior or more advanced graduate students to mentor our other graduate students. And so now that Kavita is a PhD candidate, she has an opportunity to mentor. And so we're going to go through a couple of questions, and Kavita is going to answer them. And so the first one is, I'm going to ask Kavita how she became interested in computer science and what are her plans for the future.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Tull. So when growing up, I've been always excited about computers and using them. So even in elementary school, I was one of the few people that used computers as an accessibility tool. So that gave me an opportunity to be productive instead of writing by paper and pen, right? So that established the foundation, which is that by using computers, I can have accessibility to writing and to fulfill my school requirements. And then growing up, I saw, of course, the advent of the internet, right, and the growth of personal computers. So more and more, my love for technology and computers grew as I also grew older. And the first time I was interested in robotics is the first time I learned about a doctor in location A performing surgery in location B. So if I felt like if a doctor can perform surgery using a robotic device remotely from two different locations, I thought, why can't we use the same technology to help people with disabilities with personal care through robotics technology? So that's how my passion for robotics technology and computer science all formed together. And my plans for the future, I hope after I graduate, I can hope to be in the academia or in the industry to perform the same type of research to enable people with disabilities more physical independence through technology. And I want to increase the participation of these underrepresented minorities, the people with disabilities especially, so they can be in the STEM fields. And that's my thing.
Okay, excellent, Kavita. Thank you very much. Okay, and we know that you've had a series of challenges, all kinds of challenges, but what are some of the toughest challenges that you've endured in graduate school?
Okay, there are three significant challenges. One, first of all, getting into grad school itself was very difficult, right? Taking the GRE, right? Making sure the admission process and getting the recommendation letters. They were all great challenges. And by the time my GRE scores came in, there was a delay. So my admission, there was a delay. And after the GRE score came in, then all the RA and TA positions were gone. So I had a difficulty. How do I fund my graduate school? So I emailed all the contacts that I knew from my undergraduate program, and no one knew how to help me. And there were no positions, like I said. So I finally thought, let's just email Dr. Lasky. Let's see what he says, right? And I was very fortunate that he replied, and he introduced me to Dr. Tull and Dr. Rutledge. And that began my journey on graduate diploma.
Yeah, the starting point.
Yeah. And Dr. Tull told me about the LSAM, BD, Bridge to Doctorate Fellowship Program, right? And I applied. It was again competitive. And I was fortunate to receive it through Dr. Tull's guidance and understanding how to apply for it. So I'm very thankful to Dr. Rutledge and Dr. Tull for that. Thank you. So that was the first challenge. Okay, the second challenge was, you may all remember the year 2010, right? There was a huge blizzard. Like every 2 weeks it would snow. Like I think we received about 40 inches of snow within 2 weeks, right? It was really horrible. And with my condition, spinal muscular atrophy, this condition makes respiratory difficulty a great challenge. So I was frequently congested with bronchitis, and even breathing was very difficult for me. So I was on 24/7 oxygen, BiPAP, and nebulizer, cough assist, you name it, that item was here. Anything to help me breathe. And my muscles gradually weakened because of all the cold and all the severe congestions and breathing difficulties I faced. I didn't know if I was going to be alive. It was that difficult. But all I remember knowing is I don't want to give up on grad school. I have to continue. I have to make it with this semester. And again, I followed the same technique. I emailed everybody I knew, asking for advice, asking for suggestions of what I should do. I emailed Dr. Tull, Dr. Rutledge, department chair, everybody. And at that time, Dr. Nicholas was the department chair. And he came up with the idea, why don't we try Skype? And that's how I started with his class, using Skype for the first time ever to take classes. And I'm thankful for him for coming with that idea, because I didn't even think of that. And he was innovative, he was ahead of technology, because Skype was all new at that time, right? So I was fortunate that he came up with the idea, and that class was a success. And then ever since that, we've been following the same technique of taking classes by Skype. And after that was a success, I asked Ms. Hill, Student Support Services, and Ms. Valerie Valentine. She was also at Student Support Services. She's a disability specialist. And to see if these accommodations could be written up so that each time I take a class to a professor, and then by taking classes by Skype could be arranged in my accommodation. So Ms. Valentine was really helpful for me to get the accommodation, so I could just present a letter to each professor saying this is what I need. So the third challenge was classes, fulfilling the class requirements. Of course, even though I have these accommodations written as a letter, still not everybody has to say yes. Right? So that was a challenge. Not every professor I took, they did not want to understand or use Skype. So that was a challenge for me to find the right courses, find professors that are willing to use Skype. So these were two challenges. And of course, doing the team projects all by Skype. So that's how these challenges are. And my advisor, Dr. Oates, was also very helpful. Dr. Tull, of course, right? Ms. Hill, everybody, Ms. Valentine, right? And Student Support Services, everybody helped to make sure that I could fulfill all the requirements of class all through Skypes, and I'm very grateful for their support, because if that were not happened, then I could not be here today. So those are the 3 challenges.
Okay, excellent. So I'm very happy to be at a place like UMBC where they are able to think outside the box. That's a common term that we always hear, and we have a chance to think about other ways to engage, and so that's a great piece. Now, before we started, Kavita had a chance to talk with several of the students about some of her background and some of the things that are part of her condition of, she already mentioned spinal muscular atrophy. And the question now is, how do you overcome adversities, Kavita, some of the physical and mental adversities?
That's a difficult question. I try to face it one day at a time. Sometimes when one day is too difficult, I take it 1 hour at a time. So it's a concept in computer science called incremental programming. Don't attack it on the whole scale, but do it a piece at a time. So that's been helpful. And when I'm going through a difficulty, I think about others that provide me inspiration and who have faced their own obstacles. And I say, if they can do it, I can do it. So to all of you, I'm saying, if I can do it, and so can all of you, right? So that's one thing. And we have to remember that when we have temporary defeat, it doesn't mean it's a permanent failure. It's only permanent if we stay there and don't try. But if you try, then we can take that defeat and making a stepping stone to your success. And that's one thing. And as I've said previously, communication skills. Ask for help. Talk to your higher officials. Like I mentioned, I talked to Dr. Rutledge about many of my problems. She's helped me to resolve some of them. And I've talked to Dr. Tull and my advisor. So talking to people really helps to break the problem into pieces. So it's like a big burden is on your head, but if you share it with others, it becomes smaller. So those are the 4 things.
Okay, excellent. And Dr. Rutledge is here. She's the Dean of the Graduate School and Vice Provost for Graduate Education, and also on the faculty in Kavita's department, Computer Science and Electrical Engineering. Okay, Kavita, now how about some of your successes? 3 of your proudest successes, what have they been and how have they been accomplished?
Okay. First, I want to say thanks, Dr. Rutledge, for joining. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now I'll say the proudest successes: the Bridge to Doctorate Fellowship, the Ford Foundation Fellowship, and the National Science Foundation Graduate Research Fellowship. So I'm very fortunate with these 3 fellowships. And again, it did not come just by me writing an application. It took a lot of trial and error. The very first time I applied for NSF, I was denied. But that gave me a learning experience. I understood why I was denied. All the comments and feedback from the reviewers helped me to make my application the second time around stronger. Then that helped me. And like I said, I did not know about these fellowships. It was only because I attended the Promise seminars. So again, if there are meetings, seminars, go to them, attend them, so you know the resources that are available to you, right? Then the next one is, I'm very proud about the internship at the NSF's Engineering Research Center, Quality of Life Technology Center at Corning Mellon University and the University of Pittsburgh. I was very fortunate to work with Dr. Dan Ding on the Kitchen Bot project. I was able to develop a tablet interface, and that work was published in the RESNA conference. So again, I did not know about that internship opportunity. I knew about that internship opportunity to Dr. Tull. She told me about the opportunity being available. So again, you have to ask, communicate with your higher officials, ask them what resources out there, and let them know you're interested in the available opportunities. So talking is very helpful, letting others know you're available, active, and you want a fulfilling graduate life. let them know. Okay, the third proudest success. That was the PhD candidacy. Fulfilling the course requirements and then doing the research, then making sure you present it to your committee members. And again, I want to thank my committee members, Dr. Danding, Dr. Nicholas, Dr. Tim Simon, Dr. Elena Aisha, and of course my advisor, Dr. Oates. Without all of them, I can't make sure, like, I can't pass the PhD candidacy. So they were very instrumental in reviewing my thesis proposal beforehand. So again, I didn't give it to them 1 week before my defense day. I gave it to them much earlier so I can receive their feedback, make corrections, and I practiced the defense presentation 3 times. Once with Dr. Tull, and once with my lab mates. The third time was the real candidacy presentation. So practice, practice, practice.
Good. Yeah. Excellent. Okay. Well, we're kind of getting to the last question, and this is for advice. So, Kavita, you're in a position now where you can be a peer mentor to other students. And so, what kinds of advice would you give to current graduate students who are now seeking success in their programs?
Okay. First of all, stay focused on your goals. Make sure that you set daily goals and make sure you do something every day. Because for me, it doesn't matter day or night, weekend, weekday, I work every day. And it doesn't, and most of you know, if you know me, I'm a night owl. I work throughout the night, 3 a.m., 4 a.m.
Whole night she's vacant.
So I get very few hours of sleep because I have the determination to succeed. And I want to make sure that I ace it. You know, I want, and it's, even if it's a homework problem, I try to do 1 problem a day. Like, for me, because my energy is finite, I make sure I do a lot of planning before I solve the problem. And then I get to writing and typing it. So again, staying focused on your daily goals is essential for success. And second one, treat others as you want to treat others like you want to be treated. Okay? You have to give others respect, talk to people politely. It's a comparison between emotional intelligence and technical knowledge. Technical knowledge alone will not help you to graduate. Like I mentioned, talking to people, asking for help, being friendly, right? And there's a fine line between being too aggressive, too passive, and just right being assertive. So you have to talk assertively and talk to people friendly, kindly, and be humble, because you can learn so much from others in many ways, right? And being adaptable. Instead of saying, these are my conditions, I can't do it. Say instead, these are my conditions, what can I do about it? There's a difference in saying that and speaking that. And always create backup plans. This was on Dr. Tull's blog. I want to cite her. So when plan A doesn't work, have plans B and C ready to go. You know, don't just have one plan. So, okay, the next one is go the extra mile. So instead of reading chapter 1, read chapters 1 and 2. That's just one example. But the real meaning is try to do more than what is expected. If, for example, there is some extra credit available, maybe you can do an extra credit programming project. And saying, try to attend more seminars. Maybe that's, you don't have to really attend, but go, because it will be a learning experience. One example that comes to my mind is I had the opportunity to speak at the Consumer Electronics Show about my research and about the beam by Suitable Technologies. And my job was to just present and leave. But instead of doing that, after I presented, I still stayed with them and helped them with their booth because they were short-staffed. So do something more that's never expected. Even though it's not required, do it anyway. Because it will reward you at the end anyhow. But don't expect the compensation because it will come naturally. So volunteer your time, try to be helpful to others. I'm volunteering at the Maryland Commission on Disabilities. It's not paid, it's volunteering, but I'm still doing it because it's fulfilling to me. And that again is going the extra mile. And again, I've said it in the past, always seek feedback, approval, and suggestions from those around you. And like I said, your advisor, the dean, and Dr. Redfridge, Dr. Tull, they're there because people are your assets more than books can bring, really. It's a great strength, and that's the strength that's helped me to endure and be here, persevere through grad school to be in this position today. And of course, enjoy life, spend time with your family and friends. I am very thankful to my mom. She's right here. She's been my muscles throughout my life. She sacrificed her time, her energy in order to see me succeed. So you have to remember the people in your life that have helped you come where you are so that you can make them proud. And my dad also, he's, I guess, made my mom free so she can take care of me. Right? So I'm thankful to my dad, and he's also provided me inspiration because he's a PhD at the Indian Institute of Science. He's a gold medalist in aerodynamics. So he's inspired me to get this robotics PhD as well. So, of course, my brothers, Raj and Vic, pillars of support, and my good friends, Natasha, I think you're watching online, Patty, Sina, Miriam, I think she's here in the back, Jennifer, Manoj, and of course I want to mention it was very difficult for me in undergraduate to get a double major, and eventually I got a double major in math primarily due to the support I received from the math department from Mrs. Bonnie Tai and Dr. Uttapa Gowda. I want to thank them as well. And Mrs. Susan Bogar Evans from computer science. She also helped me through the undergraduate in computer science. And I also want to thank at this time Dr. Ladner, Dr. Grazer at Access STEM program. That's also a program supported by National Science Foundation that helps students with disabilities in the STEM program. So they've also helped me through the graduate program to fund some of the assistance that I require for the 3D software programs. And now my friends at Suitable Technologies, they've helped with the beam in many ways for me to attend and network at different conferences. And first I want to say Dallas Gokecker. He's the inventor of the precursor to the beam, and he's given me almost 24/7 access to his office room. Like I can beam in anytime, see him working on a beam, and get feedback. And he's a mentor to me now because I understand how it is to invent something and create a company based on the invention. So that gives me a lot of inspiration to do the same. Erin, she's the marketing director. She helps me to get to all these events. Krista, she helps me get to the museums. And Brianna, she was instrumental in getting the beam at UMBC. And Andrew Gold from RF Soft, he's helped me attend a lot of events in Palo Alto, California, and San Francisco through the beam. I actually attended something called the Magical Bridge. It was the first world's accessible park for children with disabilities. And I went to the grand opening, and it was exciting because I just saw it on the news, and I knew their office was near. I emailed them, and they said, okay, I'll take a beam there for you. And so I attended the grand opening, and while I was there, they told me, can you give a quick speech? So it was the impromptu speech that I gave for the grand opening. So I'm probably in the California news. Yeah. And he put me in the car, put the beam in his car. That was fun. And he was, in the sports car, the beam was hanging out the window. It was a car, right? And the car radio was playing. I'm having the time of my life.
Oh, the first time she's going here.
So I was able to see the road. So, and it was just spontaneous. He said, I should put the beam in the car and let's take it to the park. You know, so these kind of exciting things are happening because of them. And it's balancing my life with research, graduate school, right? And my health. So it's keeping me happy and leading a fulfilling life. So I can stay balanced. Yeah. So I encourage all of you to do the same. And hope all of you for success. And I hope that you all exceed expectations and reach all of your endeavors and even beyond that. So good luck to all of you.
Great. Thank you very much, Kavita. So Kavita has been traveling all over the world, Spain and Seattle and all other kinds of places on her beam robot with the monitor that moves around. Even though she's here at home, the beam robot moves around anywhere in the world where suitable technologies allows her to go. And she has volunteered to take a couple of questions. So maybe we can take 2 questions from the audience. And then we will wrap up the tape. Are there any questions? David, yes.
Yes. When you first used the beam, how was that experience for you?
It was an incredible experience. Like I said, the first time that I used it was for the Telepresence Initiative study at the Videographers conference in Seattle, Washington. And it was an amazing experience because just by a click of a mouse, I was in a different city. I was transported, right? I was able to see out the window. I saw how Seattle looked like. I never had been there. So it was a great experience. And like I said earlier, I've never had the opportunity to stand up or crawl. So the beam gave me a different perspective of how it is to speak at eye level. And it was almost similar to walking. I guess it gave me that perspective as close as possible, even though I don't have that physical ability. So it's wonderful.
Excellent. Another question from anyone in the audience? William?
So, has it inspired you to think of more technologies or a different method of transporting people with similar disabilities as yourself?
Yes, I'm thinking of accessibility technology that can help people with transferring, repositioning, and personal care. Those are my 3 main areas that I'm trying to target. And even though there are some devices that are available, they focus a lot on the caregiver perspective. They don't think about the control that the user with the disability has. It's not accessible to them. And I'm thinking of tools like a brain-computer interface where you have a headset mounted on your head, right? And it detects electromagnetic waves and that can be used as input. And another way is speech. Speech is popular, but of course there's a lot of noise feedback we have to worry about. And I'm using a trackball mouse. That's my most favorite and most accessible mode of input. So my focus now is using a mouse. How can I move a robotic arm to help myself and to perform other tasks? And I want to mention, most of my caregivers have been extraordinary. They've been wonderful. They've assisted my mom so that she can get some respite. And I want to also thank my long-term caregiver, Hawa Kamara. She's been with me for almost 6 years. And you can imagine how difficult it is because of the high turnover, all the competition, and there isn't a promotion expected in this field, right? But she's been dedicated, she's been very helpful to me. And also Yolanda Jackson, she's also been very helpful. My friend is Miriam, right? Natasha, they've all helped out as much as they can too. So relying on care just to make sure I do research is really a big part of how I can succeed.
Okay. So you may be at a conference and you may see Kavita come up to you to say hello. In fact, she met William for the first time by Beam Robot before she actually met him in person. And so who knows where you may be next in the world, Kavita. And so again, we thank Kavita for her time and for opening her home and for her mom and all the things that she's done. And let's give her another hand.
I'm really proud of my daughter. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank
you.